In this vast existence where countless forces collide and innumerable voices shout, there lies a singular truth. The greatest battle is not outside, but within. To be a one-man army is not about conquering others, it is about conquering the chaos inside. Many believe strength comes from numbers, from alliances or weapons, but real strength is the silent flame burning in the core of a single individual who refuses to bow, who refuses to break. When you become your own master, when you discipline your mind and your emotions, no external force can sway you. The path of the one-man army is not easy, it is often lonely. The world may not understand you, it may even fear you, but in that solitude find clarity. You find the power to shape your destiny, not through distraction or approval, but through focused intent. This is not about physical battles alone. The true battlefield is your own limitations, your own doubts, your own fear. Each struggle you face is a tool shaping you, forging you into something greater. It is through this fire that you become unbreakable. So remember, the one-man army is not a warrior on a battlefield, he's a warrior in life. He is a force that cannot be stopped because he has already won the greatest war, the war within. When we look around the world, we often measure strength by what we can see, by armies, weapons, wealth or influence. But all these are shadows of true power, which does not depend on outward appearances or external validation. The real fortress is built not of stone or steel, but of the resilience that arises within one's own being when the mind is steady and the spirit is unshakable. This inner strength does not bend or break because it is not formed by fleeting circumstances. It is the result of a conscious alignment with the very source of life itself. External forces will always be in flux. People change, situations shift, and the environment is unpredictable. But the strength that comes from within is a constant presence that holds the fabric of existence together even when everything else seems to fall apart. It is like the root of a tree, hidden deep beneath the surface, unseen but vital, drawing nourishment from the earth, silently sustaining the tree through every… Without this root, no tree, no matter how tall, can stand for long. When you begin to understand that your power is not borrowed from others or dependent on material possessions, you start to walk a different path. This path demands that you turn inward, that you learn to quiet the noise of the outside world and listen to the steady rhythm of your own being. It is here in this quiet place that the true strength is born, not loud or boastful, but calm, steady and unyielding, like the mountain that remains unmoved by the winds of change. To nurture this inner strength, one must cultivate self-awareness and clarity, recognizing that the battles you face in life are not only external but deeply internal as well. Your fears, your doubts, your insecurities, they are the real adversaries standing between you and your true potential. Facing them requires courage and overcoming them requires persistence. For this is the battlefield where the one-man army is forged, not by physical might, but by the will to remain centered and focused, despite all that seeks to pull you away. This strength is not something to be taken lightly or sought for egoistic reasons. It is the foundation upon which your freedom is built. When you are anchored in your inner power, the storms of life cannot wash you away, the loud voices cannot drown your own, and the pressures of society cannot force you into a shape that is not your own. It is a freedom that transcends circumstance, a liberation that comes from knowing who you are beyond the masks you wear or the roles you play. Many spend their lives searching for strength in the outside world, in possessions, recognition or approval, only to find that these things crumble like sand to their fingers. The paradox is that when you stop chasing strength externally and turn inward, it unfolds naturally and effortlessly because it is not something you create, but something you realize. It is the essence of your being waiting to be acknowledged, the silent power that has always been present beneath the surface noise of your mind. When this inner strength rises, it changes how you experience life. It is no longer about control or domination, but about harmony and balance. You become like a river flowing steadily, not fighting against the rocks and bends, but moving with purpose and grace, shaping the landscape through your presence rather than force. This strength is fluid yet firm, adaptable yet unwavering, and it holds within it the wisdom that true power is not in resistance, but in alignment. So the question is not how to conquer the world outside, but how to conquer the world inside. How to cultivate the quiet power that makes you a one-man army, not because you stand alone in defiance, but because you stand firmly in the truth of your own being. A force that no external circumstance can diminish or destroy as you become the master of your own life, the silent strength that remains when everything else fades away. Self-discipline and willpower are often mistaken for mere acts of forcing oneself to do things, but they are much deeper. They are the conscious choices you make to shape your mind and actions so that you become the creator of your own destiny rather than a victim of circumstances or fleeting desires. And this process begins not with grand gestures but with small, deliberate moments where you say no to distraction and yes to focus, cultivating an inner space where your intentions gain strength and clarity. To live without self-discipline is to drift like a leaf in the wind, tossed by every whim and impulse, unable to hold steady on the path that leads to meaningful growth and fulfillment. Whereas willpower is the silent engine that powers your journey, the unseen force that keeps you aligned to your purpose, even when the external world offers countless temptations and obstacles designed to pull you away from what truly matters. Because willpower is not about struggle but about commitment to a higher principle. When you cultivate self-discipline, you are essentially training your mind to serve you rather than being a slave to its fleeting emotions or impulses. And this training is subtle and continuous, requiring patience and persistence. For the mind is like a wild horse that needs gentle yet firm guidance to carry you forward without throwing you off. And through this relationship, you begin to discover that your willpower is not a limited resource to be exhausted, but a muscle that grows stronger each time you use it consciously and wisely. Many times people believe that willpower means harsh denial or relentless control. But true willpower flows from a place of clarity and joy, where you understand the consequences of your choices and align yourself with the larger vision of your life. And it is this alignment that makes self-discipline effortless, because you no longer feel imprisoned by rules or restrictions, but liberated by the knowledge that you are steering your life with intention and grace. Self-discipline also opens the door to freedom, which is paradoxical because freedom is often confused with the absence of restrictions. Yet without discipline, freedom becomes chaos and chaos leads to suffering. Whereas discipline is the structure that supports your freedom, allowing you to explore your potentials fully and without fear. Because when you command your own mind and body, you are not a prisoner of circumstance, but the architect of your own existence. Willpower is tested in the small moments when you resist the lure of comfort or distraction and choose instead the path that leads to… And these moments accumulate like drops of water carving canyons over time, revealing the power of consistent effort rather than sudden bursts. And through these moments, you learn that success and transformation are not accidents, but the natural result of a steady and unwavering commitment to yourself. To develop self-discipline and willpower is to enter a dance with yourself, where you learn the rhythms of your mind and body, recognizing when to push forward and when to rest. This balance is essential because too much force without awareness leads to burnout and resistance, whereas awareness without commitment leads to stagnation. So the true mastery lies in harmonizing these energies into a flow that supports your growth while honoring your human limits. Ultimately, self-discipline and willpower are not burdens to bear but gifts to embrace. For through them you awaken the possibility of living a life that is not dictated by external forces, but shaped by your conscious choices, a life where you stand firm amid chaos and change, guided by the quiet strength that comes from knowing you are the captain of your own ship, navigating the vast ocean of existence with courage, clarity and grace. Strength, when it is genuine and deep, often walks a solitary path because it is not a product of external validation or popularity, but a silent force that arises from within. And this solitude is not a punishment, but a natural consequence of standing firmly in your truth, when the world around you may not understand or support the quiet resolve you carry in your heart. For true strength is an island where only those who have faced their own storms can arrive. The loneliness of strength is felt when you choose integrity over convenience, when you say no to easy compromises because your inner compass guides you toward a higher purpose. And in these moments, you realize that the crowd often moves with the current of collective opinion, while you must swim upstream alone, not because you seek isolation, but because your journey demands a different kind of courage that others may not yet possess or recognize. Many who have embraced strength in its purest form find themselves standing apart, not by choice but by necessity. For the weight of responsibility that true strength carries can create a distance between you and those who have not yet awakened to their own power. And this distance is felt not only outwardly in relationships but inwardly as well, as you wrestle with the paradox of being surrounded by people yet feeling profoundly alone in your resolve. In solitude, strength is both tested and refined. When you stand alone without the safety net of agreement or applause, you confront the raw essence of your being, and it is in this confrontation that illusions fall away and What remains is the unshakable core of who you are. A core that does not depend on external circumstances, but shines steadily from within, regardless of the outer world's noise or distraction. This loneliness is not the absence of connection, but the presence of a different kind of relationship, the one you cultivate yourself, where you become your own ally, your own source of encouragement and understanding, because no one else can live your life or bear your burdens. And in this sacred space, you discover a profound companionship that transcends loneliness and transforms it into strength. Yet, the path of strength can also be heavy, for it demands sacrifices that are not always visible to others, and these sacrifices can deepen the feeling of separation, especially when the world rewards conformity and fears difference. But the strong do not shrink back into the crowd. Rather, they embrace the solitude as a necessary passage that allows them to grow beyond limitations and touch the edges of possibility that remain close to the many. It is in this loneliness that the one-man army is born, not as a figure of isolation but as a symbol of inner freedom. Because strength that depends on others is fragile, but strength that stands alone is invincible. And as you walk this solitary road, you learn that being alone does not mean lonely forever, for the universe itself conspires to meet those who are steadfast in their inner power with signs, synchronicities and moments of grace that remind you that you are never truly alone. So, the loneliness of strength is a sacred space, a crucible where the human spirit is purified and transformed. And though the journey may feel long and the nights may feel cold, this solitude is the birthplace of true courage, the quiet foundation on which unshakable strength is built, carrying you forward beyond fear, beyond doubt, into the vast and uncharted territory of your highest self. A journey that continues unfolding without end. Focused intent is the invisible force that shapes the course of your life, much like a beam of sunlight cutting through the darkest forest, not scattered or wasted, but concentrated and purposeful. And when your mind locks onto a single direction without distraction, your entire being aligns with that purpose, creating a momentum that moves beyond obstacles and doubts, transforming potential into reality. When intent is scattered, diluted by too many desires and distractions, it loses power and becomes a whisper lost in the noise of everyday life. But when it is focused, it becomes a roaring current that sweeps away uncertainty and indecision, carving a path through the chaos and confusion that so often cloud the mind. And this clarity of purpose brings a kind of light. For you no longer expend energy resisting what is unnecessary or irrelevant to your deeper goals. The power of focused intent demands that you look deeply at what truly matters to you, beyond superficial wants or fleeting trends, and find that one flame burning steadily within. Because intent that arises from a place of clarity is unshakable. It does not bend with every wind of circumstance, but holds firm like a mountain rooted in the earth, steady and unmoving despite the storms that rage around it. It is this kind of intent that can transform ordinary efforts into extraordinary achievements, for when your energy is directed with precision, even the smallest actions become significant, and the universe begins to respond as if opening doors and rearranging events to support your journey, not through magic or luck, but through the undeniable force of your concentrated will and unwavering attention. Focused intent also refines your teaching you to discern between what nourishes your purpose and what distracts or drains you. And this discernment is essential because every moment you give your attention is a seed planted in the garden of your life. So when you water these seeds with mindful intent, you cultivate a harvest of meaningful experiences and growth that far surpasses random chance. The process of honing this intent is itself a practice in presence and patience, for the mind is naturally restless and prone to wander. But with consistent effort, you learn to bring it back again and again to the center, training it to be like a steady flame rather than a flickering candle. And as this ability grows, so does your capacity to create and manifest. Because energy flows where attention goes when your intent is focused. Your relationship with challenges changes as obstacles become not barriers but invitations to deepen your resolve and sharpen your focus. For each difficulty tests the strength of your commitment and asks you to either give up or go deeper. And those who choose to go deeper discover reservoirs of strength and creativity that were hidden beneath the surface of doubt and distraction. Thus, the power of focused intent is not merely a tool for achieving goals, but a path of self-mastery, a way of living where your actions are born from clarity and purpose, rather than confusion or reaction. And in this way, you become a force of transformation in your own life and in the world, moving steadily toward your highest potential with a presence and power that continues unfolding endlessly. Struggle is often seen as something to avoid, a burden to be escaped. But in truth, it is the crucible where transformation takes place. Because without pressure, without challenge, the raw metal of the self remains unrefined. And it is through the fire of struggle that the impurities are burned away, revealing the strength and clarity hidden beneath the surface of our comfort and complacency. Every struggle carries within it the seeds of growth, even when it feels overwhelming or unjust. For it calls you to look deeper, to confront the parts of yourself that are fragile or hidden. And in this confrontation, you begin to break down the old patterns and limitations that have held you captive, opening the door to new possibilities and a greater understanding of who you truly are beyond circumstance or condition. The process of transformation through struggle is not a linear path, but a winding journey where pain and resistance serve as teachers. And as you move through these difficult moments with awareness rather than avoidance, you gradually learn to shift your relationship with hardship, seeing it not as a punishment but as a necessary passage to greater wisdom and resilient struggle forces you to become present, because when life challenges you deeply, you can no longer hide in distractions or illusions, and this presence creates space for new insights and clarity to arise. For in the rawness of struggle, the false layers of identity fall away and the essence of your being shines forth with a newfound brilliance that can only be born through adversity. Transformation through struggle is also a process of surrender, not in the sense of giving up, but in the sense of letting go of resistance to what is, accepting the reality of your situation while refusing to be defined or limited by it. And this paradoxical balance between acceptance and determination creates a fertile ground where change can take root and flourish in the midst of struggle. You begin to discover inner resources that you may not have known existed, like courage, patience and perseverance. And these qualities are not gifts from outside but awakenings from within, triggered by the fire of heart, teaching you that the true source of strength lies not in avoiding pain, but in embracing it with an open heart and steady mind. The transformation that comes through struggle reshapes your identity and your perspective, often leading to a deeper connection with life itself. Because when you emerge from hardship, you carry with you a sense of humility and gratitude, a recognition that growth is not a destination but an ongoing journey that requires continual courage and openness to change. The story of transformation through struggle is one of becoming more whole, more present, more alive. And it is a path that calls for patience and trust. For the journey is never truly complete, but a constant unfolding, where every challenge faced with awareness becomes a stepping stone toward the fullness of your true self, a process that moves onward without end.